How we doing, chat? Everyone hear me fine? Get started in just a sec. Got some good price action to discuss here. Good morning, Don. How we feeling, man? All right, I'll just get started here. How's it going, Augustine? Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Tools of the Trade live stream. I'm your host, Captain Cole, and I'm joined by my co-host, Trip, also known as Crypto ISO on Crypto Twitter. We got an awesome episode for you guys planned today with lots of price action to discuss. But first and foremost, with all of our incredible subscribers, do me a favor, smash the like button, make us look good for the YouTube algo. Also want to take a quick second to thank our sponsor, Phemex, one of the only non-KYC derivative exchanges left in crypto, as we all know. So click the link in the description to get up to $6,000 in sign-up bonus. And now the last thing I'll say before we get started is that nothing we say here on the Tools of the Trade live stream is meant to be considered financial advice. We are not financial advisors, and this information is for educational purposes only. All right, so now that I'm done chilling, Trip, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. It's good to be back for another weekly stream in this choppy price action.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it looks like they're trying to run it right now a little bit too into the close, which is
always interesting.
Typical. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of setting up for just the low time frame stuff we were talking about. It put in the Telegram. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that move last night was pretty nasty. I got stopped out under 29.1 basically. Because we were both like, look, it looks like it's going to go to 30.4. There was a really clear, like, not only could you match up liquidity on liquidation levels, but I started to use Hyblock's liquidation heat map a little more, and like 30.4 was bright yellow. So
it was clear as day. They were going to run their Monday high and see what happens. Yep.
Yeah, go to dinner. I'm like, all right, set and forget, come back, nice wick down SFP, and boom.
Sometimes you're the bait and sometimes you're the bait, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. It's part of the game. Just
part of the game. But yeah, before we get into, Bitcoin price action, I'd love to kind of get the macro backdrop from you. You're our resident macroer here. So let's get a take on ES and DXY before we kind of jump into what's been happening on Bitcoin and ETH.
Yeah, I mean, if we'll look at we can look at ES and NQ, NASDAQ and S&P minis. I mean, really not much has happened since the last time we spoke, right? Like, we're kind of just sitting on this level up here. I'm still of the mindset that this is going to push up here, and this is going to push up. I think NASDAQ can trade 13.7. I think S&P can take these highs pretty easily. Maybe trade like close to here, so like 4,300
range high. Yep.
It's mainly on the notion of, and we could look at the dollar too, but I mean, here you have a 3-day 9 with the Stoke cross here, so like this was kind of a bounce that was coming, right? Like, to get continuation from TD, let's just look at it that way. You need a green 1. So this is the 3-day candle for one thing, right? I mean, if we look at the daily, I haven't really looked at it, but we did get a bounce, and we saw a bit of a pullback in risk, right? And so, is this sustainable, or are we going to come down here more? And maybe that's where things really find a bid. And by the dollar moving down, maybe you're going to get those targets I was just talking about on ES and NQ, because this is kind of just hovering up here, right? And as we get towards the end of April, and the things that we talked about, FOMC in May, you're going to have non-farm payroll, you'll have JOLTS job numbers, earnings are continuing to come out. Like, I think a lot of people want to short this market, and it's still too early, in my opinion. So like, figuring out the timing of these things. I mean, time and time again, we've seen like these altcoins, for example, or even Bitcoin and Ethereum, like, okay, they drop, they get bought up right again, right? And it's we're like liquidity driven moves here. I mean, just looking at Bitcoin, for example, right? Like we anticipated this level to be tested. You know, if you long here and or here and you put your stop here, this is unfortunate, but that's how nasty this game is. But here we are basically tagging the late shorts, right? So that's just this game of predatory PvP action, but you can't deny that like you consolidate and break out, right? So is this going to be, are we going to push up to like, you know, the 32K area if we do get higher on risk assets, in particular like the NASDAQ and ES? So it's such a, and we were just talking about this offline, right? Like it's such like a, I can hold this for like a couple hours type thing, right? In these range bound trading environments, which is great if you're a disciplined trader and you can take advantage of like these moves back and forth. But it's not for everyone, but it is such a liquidity driven environment right now. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my take on macro and just terms of how things are trading in line with each other.
Love it. I'm going to take a quick sec to kind of break down BTC real quick because discussed this earlier this morning as we kind of pushed up. You know, the 38.2 Fibonacci is usually my favorite spot to kind of get long when Bitcoin trends. Why? Because, you know, it's a shallow pullback. It stops out late longs, but it also gives you like a pretty clean retest. So shared this in the Telegram earlier this morning. We were looking for this level. Unfortunately, my bid missed by a couple bucks here. But this was like the level. So we had the 38.2 fib. We had a clean bounce off it. You could even say we made like some sort of bull flag, whatever, and we finally broke out of it. So now that we're where we're at right now, I think at bare minimum where we're looking at. So this was the Saturday high we put in at like 36-ish, right? But supply is really higher up, right? So it's like 37, 38-ish. This is the zone I expect us at minimum to test to see if we get a rejection or not. So I actually longed right here at 32.50. And I'm looking for that move up here. So we get up to here, take some profits, see what happens. If we flip this level, this is a long to 32K. The 3-day edge to edge, the weekly key, June, etc. If we reject here, we're probably going to come back and sweep below 30K, maybe come to like the Monday mid-range right here, something of that nature. So, you know, as it stands right now, very curious to see the price action going into the daily close because, you know, when we zoom out for a sec, 6-hour key June just held beautifully as a move. We had a really strong move, light pullback, and now it looks like we're pushing up. We have a pivot right here at 37, 38-ish. So, you know, and I zoom out to the daily, we touch a Tenkin. Is this the flip from the accumulation range we had, basically, where we tagged the previous range high, right? You shared that DBS zone right before at like, where was it? Yeah, at 29K right here. So, you know, we came into this clean consolidation we had before we made the move up. We tapped it once, twice, SFP'd Monday high, low here, moved up higher. So there's strong belief, you know, I still believe wholeheartedly this is a bull market. And I'll say that like very clearly, this is a bull market. So I want to be a dip buyer, not a short seller. Any short scalps need to be, again, scalps. You're playing counter trend, take your profits quickly and then get out. So I'm in dip buying mode right now. So I really think that, you know, when we come up to this key level, it'll be interesting to see if we tap it and break down, or we tap it, reject, but still consolidate over that previous high here. So those are the kind of two things I'm looking at on BTC. Now, as it pertains to Ethereum, I think it's interesting to draw the ETH BTC chart for a second, because last stream we talked about the ETH BTC bottom right here. We had this beautiful 3 inside up reversal. It was clear as day. And now, however, it looks like we've come into some resistance. ETH BTC is no longer trending upwards. It looks like we're going to have a bearish engulfing on the daily. And it came up to this key zone, call it, where it rejected from. So if I'm looking for short-term trades, I'm looking to scalp short Ethereum because of the clear weakness on ETH BTC. And if I'm looking for longs, I think it's obvious that Bitcoin right now is just the better long to be had. So the fact that ETH BTC is rejecting, I'm not really looking for Ethereum longs right now, but where I would be looking for them is kind of like a mean reversion, right? So like we have this beautiful range from 708, call it, all the way to 62. So the midpoint of that, as we'll notice, is our fancy little yellow line, the key June. And that sits comfortably right at, where is it? 66.5-ish, call it. So until Ethereum BTC trends down to this level, I'm not really interested in taking ETH longs. Once we get to this mean reversion point, I'd like to see this hold, this confluence with this block right here. I'd like to see this area hold. And if it holds, then I'm going to be looking for Ethereum longs, just because I think at that point, the strength is going to reappear on ETH and we're going to go higher. How are you looking at ETH though, Trip? Just ETH USD right now?
Yeah, I mean, just as it pertains to what you said, I mean, the delta is like slightly green on ETH, where there's, I think like 4 billion in shorts on BTC. I mean, you could call it flat. Can you see my high block?
Oh, yep.
It's 112 million. Nothing stands out, but I mean, if you just look at this, like, this is people longing on the way up, right? Like, if BTC pushes up to those levels, then maybe you get ETH in 2100s, like this cluster here. And I mean, this is a pretty tight setup if you were going to try to short this and put a stop above the high, because this is going to increase the delta on the long side. But it's really going to be dependent on like how does BTC react on around that pivot that you were talking about.
Yep.
And we can look at BTC, but that's also just one of the other reasons that last night we were just kind of like, this looks like it's going to go up. There was 9 billion in shorts on BTC. Like,
exactly.
it's just not something I want to be
shorting.
Short, right? So now we're looking at 3.3. So again, I mean, this goes all the way up to 32, like 31.5, right? Like, it's hard to decipher like where it would top out from liquidity standpoint. And if we drop granularity, maybe it gives you a clear, okay, so like 38, 39, right? That's that pivot. You take this high, you take this high, right? You grab this one. I mean, this is where you basically said the resistance was going to be around here, right?
Exactly. You see there's liquidity that lines up with that, right?
Right. And so does that push it more towards the shorts being completely squeezed out? We'll see. But yeah, I mean, levels wise, what you just talked about, and liquidity wise, and we can look at even this liquidation heat map to see if there's anything interesting. And this is a 12-hour look back on BTC. And just so people know how this works, I'll just zoom in so you guys can kind of get a better sense of this. On the left side, you'll see kind of like basically a legend, right? So yellow is 500 million, where obviously you get darker, it's less, right? So the concentration of liquidity right now on BTC, I'm just going to scroll all the way over here, right? Well, this 29.7 area, and yeah, 29.8 to 29.7 is clearly, there's a lot of long stacked here. Whereas there's a lot of shorts here. They might not be as prevalent, but look, I mean, you're still in this 400 million range of clusters up here, right? So if you start running that to where 30.8 and you're kind of hitting this gap, maybe you're getting this top one here, then look at the gap here. So price really has to squeeze a lot to get to this next cluster. So it does make sense that this is where you could potentially run out of fuel on the long side, unless you get some consolidation, you see shorts coming in. But would it make sense to do this and then grab this? Kind of.
Exactly
So,
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so like, this is the game that we're all trying to figure out and play, and Zorn's been pretty good at it lately. I've not been. Better analysis than trader, but yeah, I mean, this is how I look at price. This is how I would view it, as there's much more liquidity closer to price right now than there is below it, right?
Exactly.
So if it's going to seek the path of least resistance, this is it right here. And then I would imagine they chase it up here and then run them down and bid down
consolidate
here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So It'll be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds. But where's that 29.7? Like this little cluster right here, basically, right?
Yep.
So you
Exactly.
take, yeah, and I mean, we can even just draw a fib
Here.
around.
Oh, you're still on the high block screen.
Hold on one second. Let me just. Can you see it?
Yep.
So let's say it does come up here into this pivot, and then you're using that low as your, I guess, your swing point. Well, what's your 61.8? 29.7. That's where all the liquidity is. So, boom,
Matches up nicely.
bam. That would be a really savage move. But in terms of the way that price has moved around, like taking out players, that makes sense to me. ETH, um, yeah, because maybe that. So what? 2100. Hold on, I'm gonna share this so you guys can see my ETH chart. Have you looked at to see if there's any pivots on ETH?
No, I haven't actually. That's a good point.
Let's look at the 4 hour.
4 hour pivots.
I mean, we're below the Tenkin.
Yeah, at 2130, there's a pivot.
2130.
Yep.
Yeah, so that would kind of probably line up where BTC could go, potentially.
Do some quick math. 2130 divided by 3750, and you get like a 0.069 to ETH, which kind of lines up with where we're trading at, maybe a little higher. I can see that push.
Yeah, see what you run these highs right here, and you come into this zone right here. Maybe that 2116 was like the liquidity that we were watching, right? And
Yep, exactly.
then below, I don't think they have ETH. Oh, they do.
They do now. Yeah.
Okay.
Liquidity goes to like 2K, I'm pretty sure. So that would kind of give you reason why ETH BTC could go down to that 067 level, 0665, if BTC goes to 29.76.
Well, let's just see on the heat map how the Binance ETH liquidity looks. I didn't know they had this. I've found this pretty helpful recently, when looking at the liquidation levels, and then also just
Pairing it with the heat map.
Yeah, you can see the clusters, right? So this is 2108. That's 2128, right? That's your 2130, and then you have this little gap here, and then your resting liquidity is 2066, I guess, kind of 2060. So, again, we can do this little exercise to see if ETH was to go up there, and then we pull the fib on the low, would that equal up to around the 61.8? Which, am I going to do it right for once? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
So 2130. Okay, 2180, right? So maybe
2080.
Yeah.
That'd be another nice higher low potentially.
Right. So that's kind of how I'm looking at ETH and BTC from like charting, Fibonacci, liquidity, liquidation levels, and heat maps.
Love it.
And then we've talked about a bunch of altcoins like Sol. I shorted this morning at like 25.2 with you, I think.
Yep.
And then I saw this down here, and I went over to the here we'll look at Sol liquidity, and this is where I'm saying, like, you can hold things for such a short amount of time, because if you do have the mindset that you think BTC is going to do one of those moves like it did yesterday, or ETH's going to do something like that, then the altcoins in the USD pairs are going to go up, and they will take liquidity. Maybe BTC goes up more than them, but there are some select ones that are super high beta right now that I haven't really traded, but like Blur and all those guys. But let's look at Sol, because this is one that we were talking about this morning, and I'm pretty sure the delta's red on this one right now. Yeah. Right. So if you just simplify it, like, I don't really like being short the red deltas. Yeah, it can go down, but like price,
there's liquidity higher than there is lower. That's the point.
Yeah, like look where you have to tap 24.3, right? Short, 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 short. Yes,
all
there's
coming
longs,
at the lows,
but these guys shorted the lows, right? So it seems like it's easier for price to go up, and if you have the mindset that BTC and ETH are probably going to squeeze, then this is probably going to squeeze, right? You're definitely going to take out 25. And then, does it take out this high? Like, how high does it go? These are very low liquidity environments, so we've seen these squeezes can be very exaggerated, and don't want to be on the wrong side of those. So
exactly. I'm going to take a quick second and pivot over to BTC on low time frame because I think people have enjoyed some of that low time frame commentary stuff. So just like, we just had this breakout, right? We just talked about it on the hourly. And if I zoom into the 5 minute, right? So I talked about this just like 20 minutes ago in the Telegram. This level right here, 3277-ish. We tapped it 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on this fifth tap, we finally broke through. So if I wasn't long already, I'd be looking for this level to kind of hold on a retest. And then once I get confirmation it holds, probably punt along right there with the stop maybe there or below 30K. I picked 30K as my validation because I don't want to have a too tight of a stop and get ripped out again on a wick. But I really think that when you zoom into BTC right now, and it just had a breakout, you want to see it hold this breakout. So the level really to hold right now is this, 30.3, 3270, this $50 range. This is the level you want to see hold for price to continue going upwards and get that squeeze that we just talked about to 30.678, whatever you want to call it. So it's interesting to see. We just had the breakout. I'm very curious.
I think there were some longs that chased it, so maybe there's some 100 extras right there.
That's actually a great point. Let me switch over here.
So I think they chased it up. Yeah. So
yep. So right here, 3250. Yeah. So I can see a wick down into that, right? 100x long, 71 million longs at 3250. And again, you see that kind of lines up. This is the Binance chart. Obviously, I was looking at the Coinbase, but that lines up with your SR flip here that we just showed right here. So again, if we looked, I guess I'll throw a Binance chart on, make it simple.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a rule of fives, low time frame, SR flip. You're rebidding where it broke out. Like, it's either going to work or it's
exactly
not going to work.
It's going to, because the stop out, like the breakout longs that came in here, right? So they get ran, wicked out. They probably have stops under here, I'd assume. They get wicked out right to 3250, reclaims the level, and boom, that's where you're getting long. So we'll check back in this and towards the end of the stream. But yeah, let's go back to some other alt trip.
Are there? I know you were in some shorts.
I was in Algo. I had a small link one that I closed. Matic and what was the last one I had? Check my chart. Close position.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we can take some requests, but I think someone wanted to look at ARB. That's fine because I looked at this morning, and there was like
the $2 dream,
36 shorts, and like 700 something longs with 2 billion in notional, and everyone was calling for $2, and I think it was 179 or something. Maybe it went to 180. I haven't actually looked at this chart, but this thing, yeah, okay. So it was up here. So we're at 180, right? So you were at 1.5 billion in longs. So now you're sitting at 842. Okay, I mean, it's a bit hard to see on this, but let's see if we can actually zoom in to see people shorted this on the way down, I guess.
Yep.
If BTC squeezes, then this is going to squeeze back up.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's 68 to 338. I mean,
that's 5 to 1 ratio. It's pretty heavy.
So BTC goes to 3250 or whatever. This takes out these probably right here, is my guess.
Yep, I can see that.
Looks
or the
like
higher low, essentially.
Maybe it goes here, but there are people longing this on the way down. I don't know. It's not super clear to me. This morning it was like, okay, if you thought BTC was going to go down and you were shorting alts, then like that makes sense. Especially when there was a lot of bullish commentary on ARB going to $2. The path to 2 is not the easiest.
No, not at all. And if I look at it from a range perspective, real quick, while you load that, this looks like a very
161 looks pretty clear.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have a bunch of equal lows here that probably get swept. Like this looks like a decent high or low. But again, it's at mid range. I wouldn't diddle in the middle. If we swept this and maybe got something like this, that's where I'd want to get long right there.
Let me see it.
right here.
Yeah, so that would be taking all those lows into 100x long. If you look at the, so that's you'd get these guys 155, 7.
Yup. I can see that.
So you'd basically take out all of these longs. Chances are this gets shorted on the way down. I mean, it's not like the best setup, but I guess you would look for a reclaim on that. I
You'd wait
wouldn't.
for like the reclaim of the range low, essentially, once you have those equal lows swept.
Yeah, kind of like what BTC did last night. Like
Yeah,
SFP.
exactly.
And I'm sure if you were looking at it on a 5-minute chart or something, you would be able to, staring at your screens, you would be able to catch it. But yeah,
ARB's actually really decent. Just looking at it.
ARB.
Yeah, I kind of like it for a setup. If BTC runs this and we get a swift move down, sweep these lows, and we kind of get into this pivot right here. So I almost like this as an area right here to long. So
let me drop the granularity like a lot to see if there's just clear liquidity targets, because there's so much noise in this when you have it on like the highest granularity sometimes.
Yep.
So this is your liquidity is 157. And I mean, I don't know if you're going to get that, but this is take all these guys out, swift move right into here. That's your BTC move down into maybe 30.2, 30.1. There were some other ones down there, and then trap them and then rip it up.
See, now that you're showing me those lick levels, I almost like if BTC is going to make the move higher, I almost like those lick levels for a short, right? So it'd be like the range high retest, right? And then you'd get a short down to sweep those equal lows.
Yeah.
So potentially you'd get something like this, that, and then you can play it. Yeah. That's again assuming BTC does that move that we just discussed.
Right. So you kind of just you come up with these plans, and they're not always going to be right, but you just wait for the areas of interest, and we do this largely based on liquidity. But I mean, look, it shows up on a chart too, like around your DBS zones, like low time frame. Like you could just be a price action trader and almost come to the same conclusions on these things. Which, again, it's just we have more confluence around certain levels, just because we can see where the positioning is or anticipate where the positioning is and who could be.
So Henrique just asked, you can't ARB 100x on Binance, right? So yeah, Henrique, you're right. Some alts don't have 100x leverage, but the point being is that when a market order comes at a certain price point, Hyblock will identify the pain point, right? So yeah, you don't have 100x leverage, not getting quote unquote liquidated, but they are getting pressed with their leverage at that pain point. So it's really just identifying the potential pain points. And if price comes up to that level and you don't see a reaction, it's obviously not about liquidation level. So the whole point is we're trying to map out scenarios and then see in real time what actually ends up happening when price touches these, these aforementioned levels. If there's a reaction, okay, you say, okay, well, someone got squeezed there. It's probably a good time for me to step in if they got stopped out, right?
Yeah, to his point, it's 50x. We just are, I guess, maybe accustomed to the colors. So
yep, fair.
ETH is not 100x. Only BTC. When you're actually looking at so I don't know if you can see my screen, but this is like your long short levels down here, like on the multiplier, right? So 25, 40, 50. So that's for ARB and most altcoins. But if you look at BTC.
Next request we have is Sushi. I promised Augustin here we'd check it out for him.
Sushi?
Yep. Sushi like levels.
All right.
I'll pull up a chart while you get that loaded.
I think someone wanted to look at OP too, so put that in the queue. Let's see, Sushi. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, man. These are juicy longs.
Extremely juicy.
Like, relative to some of these other bubble sizes, right? So 0.08 million versus 1.07 million. Like, when you see these really big bubbles, these are like magnets, right? Yep. So this is dependent on whatever move BTC wants to do first. If it goes into here, then maybe like, or even up here.
Yeah, it's like a deviation almost above there, right?
Yeah, you'd have to like kind of get it on the way back down, I think, because it can just go up to here, right? And just take everyone out. Maybe if we look for less noise. Yeah, so could you take this high out right here? Yeah, I don't see why not. I don't see why not. But is this very attractive? Like removing all these longs from the equation? Yeah. Buying this though, like your
I see
stop
those
is
equal
like
lows kind of scare me. Yeah, right there. I feel like a lot of people have stops. I'd almost want to wait for that to get swept, and then long it after that.
right, because you still have a pretty green delta here of, and this is also just a sign of liquidity. 12 million, like at the top here it was 15.7 million. Dude, I remember when this thing would have like 150 million in like longs and shorts and stuff. That you can kind of see liquidity being taken out of the market, or at least whatever. Maybe it's a sign of rotation where like people are just piling into a certain number of altcoins. Like it's not equal across the market. Like this is a really small notional amount for sushi relative to like its past numbers. So
yeah, just looking at the chart there as well. Just a little thing
you
I
could
drew out.
take all this out, but like again,
I
is the
like this
BTC
getting
move
swept.
up here, and then you short it all the way down past these lows. That it's very
Yep.
similar to the
To
to the
the
R.
R. Yep, exactly. So yeah, I'd almost like this for a setup, something like that, or maybe you wait for the reclaim and then you put your stop under the deviation, and you're going for those equal highs.
Do you have a chart of sushi up there? Are you looking at it right
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Okay, hold on. Where is it? I didn't see it.
So something like that,
Yeah,
maybe you get
yeah,
the move up, sweep the longs, come in. This is really actual support. This is kind of just like false fake equal lows. Once you get back here, you probably long all their stops with your stop below the invalidation before the below the deviation, and then you're riding it back up if you have a bullish bias.
yep, yeah. Okay, so there's your sushi plan.
Love it.
All right, let's
Simple.
look at OP. I mean, this is just not clear.
It's an XO favorite.
Yeah, but it's been like a. I mean, look at this. Like you, this is just choppy mess. I haven't actually looked at a chart on it, but like, all right, 117 to 159. Nothing is screaming like this is longs were way offside this type situation. I mean, you have some shorts here. It's not really like that clear. Can it come down here? Yeah, if BTC
Yeah,
does
but I
move.
don't see like what's the risk reward there, and like what are you targeting, right? Like it's really just in a range, a
Right.
range
Yeah,
within a
this
range.
doesn't. This is not like that attractive to trade to me right now.
Yeah, but if I
Um,
throw up a chart real quick, we're let's just look at it from the 4 hour. We're just within the range. We had a deviation this below, and now we're back in this giant range, but we're at the middle. So again, guys, why do we don't diddle in the middle, right? I'd be interested if price came up to the upper end of the range, close to $3, and then maybe smack it back down, or if it came back down to this level, range low potentially, then I'd be interested. But
250
right
or
here,
something.
this I'm not very interested in trading. I don't think I have an edge, and I'd assume most people don't in this middle part of the range.
Yeah, that one's been tricky. Also very illiquid, I think. So it's moves are rather exaggerated. Someone wanted to look at Doge. Okay.
Doge.
So this is interesting because
Doge is such a fun liquidity game to play.
yeah, but there's just like a massive gap here. Which looks like these guys tried to long. This wick took them out, but no one has really chased this up. It doesn't seem. Maybe some of these guys did, but this looks like it could take out. Like if you drew a diagonal here, maybe it would just shoot directly into it. But this is a weird gap.
Yeah, I'd almost lean more bullish than bearish there, just because of that gap. Doesn't look like any longs came in to help, get over their skis, like Trip likes to say. So I'd almost look higher, right? And what's that look like? 96 cents, call it. Yeah, I can see that.
0.096. Yeah, let's see. 96 cents Doge. That would be something.
96 cents Doge.
I mean, these seem very likely to get tagged up here.
Yep.
Can you
And
take
those
out
are also
all the
like weird highs. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, it almost looks with weird highs.
So it's like this is one that's like, I don't know. I don't have.
I'm leaning bullish, but I don't have a clear setup because, like, here, I'll throw the chart on. Where's my invalidation going below that, potential higher low that's not even confirmed yet? And I'm longing for a sweep of those highs to like 96 cents. I mean, it could be a good setup, but I think I need to wait for some sort of pullback that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't scream off the page at me, it's like, go find another coin to trade or something. It's not. Link.
Agreed.
You had
Link.
you were doing stuff with Link yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, that was the only
Today?
thing that saved my P&L yesterday and this morning. That was a good long from Eat, whatever it was. Link. Let's take a look at Link. I mean, this thing looks like, okay, where was it? Yeah, right here. This is where I kind of got long. When BTC had that move down to 29.5 or 4, whatever it was. So, we had this breakout on the daily. It actually looks super nice, like it's doing a nice power thrust out of the range, but it's coming into resistance. And when I look at the 4-hour, we just had like a bearish engulfing that just closed.
Cool.
This looks like it's out of steam for the time being. So Link to me, maybe a retest of what was the Monday high.
There's 218 million in longs.
Okay, yeah. So this is the Monday high right here at like 883. If we came back into here and held that, maybe for higher, but just looking at it, it's not screaming to me buy. I actually shorted like right here-ish and then closed before the breakdown. But what's the liquidity look like?
It's pretty skewed to the long side. I'm trying to just drop granularity to see if like some clear, like 145 to 46. I mean, this is on second least, but you're definitely pushing like a lot of offsides longs. Doesn't mean it has to drop right now because you have these shorts that came in. So can you take out that high in that area where you basically just said to go into?
Yep.
Maybe that's let's see. Maybe that's like
on the new daily open, you squeeze that above that, and then you go back to retest the Monday high at 8.3ish.
Yeah, and if you get that move that we talked about in BTC and ETH, then you're going to be running a lot more longs down on the, like this is ripe. Maybe you come down into here, this SR flip.
Yep, and that's your 8.3 Monday high.
Okay, yeah. So
lines up
890, like or I don't know
$9.
any of these. Yeah, somewhere around there. Back down in 8.3 could maybe be an interesting trade. I think it's funny how I just like can look at a liquidity chart. Yeah, it is price, but then I don't even know what you're looking at. But you're like, yep, that level.
You're like, yeah, it lines
on the
up
actual
nicely.
chart. Yeah,
exactly. INJ next.
So that doesn't have liquidity yet. I don't.
Oh, you're right.
I asked Hyblock for it, but one thing that you can look at to get an indication of maybe if the thing is running out of steam is the funding rates on it, and they were like -12 the other day. I mean, they've come down significantly.
Yep.
So when this goes neutral, maybe, or actually goes positive, I haven't really looked at the chart on this. Did it go to $10? I mean, it went
Just
to
shy of it.
A range high.
990 basically.
Yeah, so I don't think they have INJ. They need to get it. Or they said they were working on it. So that would be a nice one to have because that thing has been an absolute beast.
It really has been. Lido and then FET and CFX. I don't know if CFX is on there, but
Lido doesn't do a damn thing. It's literally like
just faded ETH, and I think that's kind of played out almost.
Yeah. Oh wow! Look at this. I mean, this is just a strange situation. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to long a red delta, gotten burned, and short the green ones. Like it's like when you do catch one of these moves, though, they're great.
They're super volatile and nice.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're so fast. Like these, and then but like look at this. This is savage. Like I don't even know if BTC or did that.
I think it was
right?
in a range when that happened too.
Yeah, so 35 to 103. I mean, yeah, relative to what we've seen in the past, 26 million in shorts. I mean, we've seen like 100 million in longs and shorts on this thing at the
Yep.
extremes. But I don't know, Lido, like, what do I do with this chart? Like, this is your low. Like, you're going to try to long this and you're putting a stop here to what are you targeting? You know, it's like I haven't looked at the actual like chart itself, but it's
It's just been
painful.
in a range. It's a painful range to trade.
Yeah.
I'll throw up a chart. Hold up here. Yeah, we'll use that. So this has just been one big pain range, right? So you had the deviation above here, back in the range. You know,
I mean, you
getting
have
close to
lower
range
highs.
lows. You have lower highs too, yeah, from that
But you
perspective,
don't
right?
really have the lower lows so much.
No, you have a bunch of equal lows, and
Yeah.
you just came off mid. So yeah, you're in the range high. It's probably a better short than it is a long. Just also because we talked about ETH BTC being weak. We prefer ETH shorts over BTC shorts. That translates to Lido as well. Lido is a better short if you're trying to capture beta on what you think is going to be like an ETH weakness. So yeah, I mean, but what do we just looked at liquidity. It's a red delta. I don't really like shorting red deltas. Where'd you stop? Above these weird highs, maybe higher. 12% stop for what, like a 20% move. You're assuming BTC is going to nuke. Tough argument. I don't see the clear setup.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it's not clear. So I don't judge it. Someone asked about FXS, another liquid staking derivatives play. Well, these guys are shorting here, but I mean, look at this. This is like same shit, right? Like this
Yep.
is, and then you get one of these, and then look, bleeds all the way down. So I'm literally guessing at this point what this is going to do. Like there isn't anything
There's no edge.
super revealing. Like you could take out all these lows, right? Come down into here and
Yep.
hit this guy. I mean, that's a
What's
pretty big,
that? 9.5. Yeah, I mean that's basically your DBS zone essentially.
right. Then maybe this flips red, but yeah, I don't know. Nothing, nothing too
Screaming
revealing.
out. Yeah.
What are some other ones people wanted to look at?
Adam and
Oh,
DYDX. Adam was a good long the other day. I like that one. I'm always afraid of Adam because it's like one of the four horsemen. When everything is about to implode, Adam starts making moves.
yeah. Where did you long it? Here?
Right before the parabola, like 12, I think 12.3. Oh, like all the way to the left before it made those
Oh,
moves.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
basically.
there's a lot of longs in Atom right now. 50 million, but price is closer to this than it is to taking these guys out. Kind of look at maybe less granularity. And because, well, that one's not as much. Maybe because some of these altcoins are closer to topside liquidity, that maybe that is the you're gonna
Path
get
of least resistance. Yep.
the BTC move too, right? So 1268.
There's a pivot right there.
Yeah, so I'd be willing to bet if you took this swing high and this swing low and you did a fib, this is probably going to be around your 61.8 or maybe your 70.5 into a pivot, and this seems like targetable liquidity. So I guess what is this percentage move relative to BTC going to 30.8 or 30.7 short here? And
Like 1%.
yeah, so but yeah, I don't really know. Like it's not that clear, really.
Yep.
For Adam. Let's see if there's any. Yeah, I mean, you can just squeeze a lot of stuff easily up here, even though there's a lot of longs, but it's all really up to what BTC and ETH are going to do.
ETH, Yeah, that's a good point. I think a good point to kind of get across to you guys, if you're going to trade BTC and alts, you really have to have a good read for what Bitcoin's going to do, because again, what are alts? They're really just high beta plays to Bitcoin. So if you don't have a good read on BTC and you want to get long your favorite alts, but BTC looks like it's about to fall off a cliff, you're going to have a tough time hanging on to that position. So I think it would behoove you to kind of get a sense for trying to read Bitcoin. When you see Bitcoin come to some form of like range low support, makes a higher low, whatever the case is, that's usually the best and most optimal time to kind of long your favorite alt. Conversely, the same applies in reverse. If Bitcoin's going to some sort of range high resistance, doing a blow off top, whatever the case may be, that's when you want to be looking to short your alts, because that's when they're in peak euphoria, they're making moves that are probably weaker than Bitcoin. So you can even identify, you always want to sell weakness and then long strength, because the meme that, it's already pumped, it's going to wait for this one to pump. Weakness kind of begets weakness, right? And strength begets strengths. So I think the overarching point here is that have a good read for Bitcoin. And then, if Bitcoin's at some support, long an alt that is held very well on the way down. Don't long weakness, long something that's held very well. Conversely, if Bitcoin's at resistance, short something that's been weak on the way up, that just hasn't been able to make a higher high, it's making lower highs. That's probably your highest probability trade for altcoins.
Yeah, so DYDX is loaded with longs. This looks like ARB this morning.
Oh, yep.
So like, if we're just strictly talking about exhaustion points, and you're looking at people like longing this, like here, these green dots coming into here, where do you put your stop is the question. I haven't looked at the chart of DYDX really at all, but
yeah, I looked at this the other day. I'll share it in a sec. I'll let you finish.
BTC looks like it's going to go for the 100x longs.
Yep. I was going to get to that in a sec.
Yeah. So here, 321. You're really going to get to an exhaustion point up here on DYDX. Probably. I looked at a chart on it though. I would just say.
Yeah, just looking at the chart itself, zooming out to the daily, right? So you have a daily pivot right here at 318, 395.
Oh, you're on Cosmo. You're on Cosmo.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. There we go. So looking at, you have these equal highs here, but you're coming right into this pivot at like 3.2. So I'm assuming between, 3.2 to whatever these highs are, 3.3, you're going to get some sort of an exhaustion point, come back down, and maybe sweep those longs. Now, on the flip side, when we zoom in a little bit, if we're still trying to push higher, this actually happened to me yesterday, where we had all these equal highs here, and I almost puked my long right here. Right. Oh yeah, sorry, equal lows. Thank you. Right here, and it came right into the hourly key June. So it swept all these stops and then continued up. And look what we're building here. We're building all these equal lows again. So and there's your Tenkin. I wouldn't be surprised that if BTC makes the move, goes a little higher, and then sweeps those stops, and then continues higher to its exhaustion point. So point being is, like, whenever you see equal lows, your gut reaction may be to set your stop loss right below it, but that's usually the wrong gut reaction, just because we can assume that many others are thinking just like you. So it behooves you to kind of have either a wider stop or a tighter invalidation and wait for the move to happen. But let's pivot real quick to BTC, just because we're coming into those 100xers. So 3278. Again, we came right into this level we talked about. Let's take a look at the licks again. 3250. So we're very close to it. I wouldn't be surprised if we just missed it. But again, this is what you want to see. You want to see this SR flip of this level. And then you can probably get long if you aren't already. But I do think, even though this looks like a nice doji, there's a good probability we sweep it, come back up to it, and that's where you get long on that reclaim.
Yeah, like, because there is one at 3149.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that takes you, right to that 5-minute DBS zone, essentially.
Like, I could see that being a very similar instance of yesterday, where, like, people do the 30.2 and then it does like 3130 or something like that,
Yep.
And then it's off to the races. Because then it's got to start grabbing down 29.9s, and I think
Then
You do
the
that?
breakout has failed. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I would stop out below that low, because that's an unconfirmed higher low for now. But that 30K buyback was strong enough. There was a good visceral reaction there that if we do start sweeping that, we're probably heading back down to like 29.5, 29.6 ish, like we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that 29.7, which
Yeah,
is,
true.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And you just run everyone on the 29.9, and it would, yeah, that would be funny. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Bitcoin tends to do that. Let's look at GRT. Someone's asking about. GRT used to be a great short because it was just in the range and it was so weak relative to Bitcoin.
Is this graph? Was it? Is
Uh,
this the
I think so.
Kyle Samani coin?
Yeah, I think you might be right. Looks like it just swept the highs on the daily, 175, 173. Yeah.
It's loading. Oh wow, these are large shorts up here. 173, 1716. But okay, so if BTC does this move, it could easily come down into this liquidity down here.
And then go for the ones above.
Yep. I would say you'd probably get this. It would run the high. And
175.
then because you're already pretty long, like there's again 26 million. I mean, it's really not that much. I'm sure like a month ago this was a lot more, but yeah, I could see
And all
this.
it really is, it's in a range, right? So
Yeah, totally. All these altcoins are in a range pretty much, unless you're trading like ARB or Blur. I don't think we have Blur.
the newer coins.
Yeah.
Deviation right here, range lows. Now it's at mid range. I wouldn't want to diddle in the middle. If it came up to this pivot right here at like 1850, 1890, maybe even 19 cents or higher, then I'd be looking for a short. But I don't know that I see an edge in longing or shorting here at mid range. Yeah, you might come up for this liquidity and then go lower, break this trend line. But it's really not a clear play either way. So if it's not clear, I just stay away from it. I think that's usually the go-to.
DYDX right now is pretty clear in terms of like where the offside starts. If people are going to start longing that on the way up, that's like how you get a quick reversal. Someone asked about Rose.
Heard of this shitcoin? I think Capo was
Wow,
talking about it.
Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, based on Hyblock, there are 49 million, almost 50 million in longs. Where were we up here? 80. So this your peak was 80. So again, it's like whatever Bitcoin's going to do, right? You're either getting this, and it probably runs these highs, is my guess, or you're getting this liquidity. But it's scary because there's a significant amount of longs, and like look at these lows. These are ripe.
Yep, 100%.
I much prefer this move and then boom down on like everything.
Sweep the liquidity above because then it runs everyone out, and that's usually a good play.
Yeah, and you're most likely going to catch more people offside here than going down.
Lower. Yeah, agreed.
Like there's
Because
less
the thing with
here,
liquidity,
up here. It's like scary to long this stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times when you see these kind of moves, all the liquidity will be sourced one way before you have a full delta reversal. So there's 935 in Trolix on Rose, but there's still 342. So point being is, it wouldn't surprise me to have like the full move above, stop out all the top shorts, and then it kind of exhausts from there, right? So like, who's the marginal buyer at the top? Obviously, it's retail longs. So then you get the unwind. Here, it's still like you still have retail trying to short it, but if you see the red dots coming in there.
Yeah. We got to bring Amoeba back on to explain the histograms again.
I keep asking him to share the charts just because I need to start understanding it myself. But he's a wizard with
look at the histogram on this. He's like, yeah, give me a second. I still need to understand the science, or like, because the positioning of that stuff has actually been really helpful. So I'm going to look at Phantom. We'll do a couple more and then we'll probably call it. But let's look at Phantom.
It's just sitting at mid-range on the chart.
Yeah, here's your high. I guess this is your low. Or you could consider this your, I don't know. It's kind of messy. Look, 92 to 93. 7.8 million. That is so light. Yeah, I mean it can go either way here, right? I mean, it's clear that it's like very obvious that this seems like it's going to get taken.
Yep.
This one, I mean, I guess did it ever take this high though? No.
No.
So this is really where you would probably get maybe a more offside situation on the long side. But like, yeah, this seems pretty ripe. This seems pretty ripe. Like this is a vertical move. This usually gets filled in, and then this would you'd take out these guys right here, right? So,
Yep. So just looking at the chart, even, this has been the range. Like the only place I'd be interested to kind of do business would be where is it? Right here. These equal highs right here. 60 cents. 60 cents,
yeah,
I'd probably be a seller. But here, are we flipping mid-range to go higher? Maybe. But I don't see, what's the setup? Is there liquidity at 50 cents, Rip?
yeah, there is.
Yeah, so it's like, why do I want to get stopped out before the move to 60 cents from 50 cents, right? I don't see a clear setup where I'm not, risking getting stopped out too soon. I guess you could be aggressive and stop out below 52 cents. Is there liquidity there? There is, right? Not really. There's like one long at 50. Yeah, 52. Like
this is
that would be the high. Yeah, that's where my stop would be, and that would be like a high risk play. And I'm entering here, stop below, basically right before that lick. And then I'm targeting 60 cents, I guess. It seems like a push, but I don't see that alts have the juice right now. I think Bitcoin's in the driver's seat. So, let's say you're buying this and you're playing for at least a sweep of these highs or, higher to 60 cents. Maybe. I don't think so though. I think Bitcoin at this point is taking over. So, and if Bitcoin does a pullback, there goes your stop right there.
Yeah, that is the story right now. Were there any other in the queue? Someone asked about Magic. I don't even think we have.
I don't think it has it either. Magic. We can end on CRV.
Okay. Didn't that thing?
Yeah, Amoeba slipped me that one, but it pulled back all the way. Yeah.
After a big move.
Yeah, it wasn't like a giant move, but essentially.
This was pretty insane. 103 to wow.
110.
I mean,
yeah.
Ask yourself why it pulled back. There was not one short. Holy cow. See, this is the altcoin game right here. Boom.
Yep.
So,
simple.
Wow, there's still a lot of shorts. So that's 42 million, and we were
and you have a bunch of equal highs too. So I can still seeing that going higher. I think Amoeba had like a 120 cent target or 130 cent target. It actually looks similar to how BTC looked on the 12-hour. It actually might not be a terrible setup. I don't like it yet, but
here, share your chart.
Yeah. So just looking at it from there's a bunch of these equal highs here that we've kind of just left. It looks like he's trying to put in a higher low, but I don't. If it closed like this, that's too strong of a pullback. I'd want to see it close at like $1.80 maybe.
$1.08. Have you looked at the BTC pair or even versus ETH? I guess more relevant for BTC now.
I think CRV BTC. Where is that? Right there. I mean, it's the thing. It doesn't look like it's.
Whoa.
Unfortunately. That's the thing. Like a lot of these USD setups look good, but everything here just looks like it's going to fall off a cliff. Unfortunately. But
yeah, it just means it'll go up, but it's not going to go up as much as Bitcoin.
Exactly. And you want to play the high beta play.
It'll go up, but it's like you'd probably want to find one that's like maybe going to have beta to the market leader at this point.
Yeah. So to end things off, let's just talk about Bitcoin real quick on the low time frame again. We didn't run that 100x, but it does look like we kind of did get a very clean SR flip of this level we discussed. I'm very bullish here. I actually think we're going to send it to the highs now, 30.6, 30.7, 30.8, like we discussed. I think this is as clean of an SR flip as we're probably going to get. Famous last words, though. But yeah, I think this is a good place to end. We'll see what happens on next stream. We can discuss what ended up happening here. But yeah, I think that's a kind of a good place to wrap up. Trip, do you have any I guess parting words going into the weekend or the rest of the week in terms of how to kind of trade the environment and how we're looking at the markets from both like the alt game, Bitcoin, macro, etc.?
I think it's still the same game of like take what you can from the market as quick as you can and reassess until the next setup is going to be there. Because like we just looked at all these altcoin charts and thing could pump like 7 to 10% in some instances and retrace immediately. Watching the dollar, I think, is going to be key. Like, is it going to keep pushing or is it going to go lower right now? That's very much the tail of risk. So yeah, I mean, you guys will hear it first because Tools of the Trade Telegram is pretty active in terms of like basically what we think. We post a lot of the liquidity setups in there, just the landscape, so you guys can be familiar with what's going on or what's going on inside our head. I think Zorn's probably a little more vocal than I am, but yeah, I mean, Twitter and that Telegram are basically what we're thinking. But it's such a choppy, range-bound environment. I mean, are we consolidating for another move up? Or are we going to go lower? I can't tell you that right now.
Yep.
So
It's anyone's game. You outline your plan, you stick to your plan, then you see the invalidation. If we tap those 30.7-ish highs and reject, we're probably going back lower. If we reclaim it and you kind of hold that level, we hold Monday's high on the way down, we're probably going higher, going to 32K. So that's kind of the two, I guess, scenarios looking forward. But I do think, Bitcoin will stay in the driver's seat for now. Especially we saw ETH kind of putting in that local top, right? So I think if you're looking to scalp long, it should be on Bitcoin, and alts and ETH should be the shorts for the time being. But who knows? That might change towards the end of the week. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure to go to Exo's stream now that we're ending. The legend himself is streaming, so make sure to go check that out. And we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
take it easy, guys.